This is a message directly to the people of Iran from the future independent Republic of California and its people. Today, I speak to you not as an American, but as a Californian. I, like many other California nationalists, do not consider myself an American in the traditional sense. We Californians are Americans because we inhabit North America, but our history and culture is tied to California nation, not the United States. California is a distinct society within North America. We have our own history, our own culture, our own worldview, and our own unique public policy preferences, all of which make us distinct from American history and culture and politics and mentality and everything else. Just as we say here in California that California is a nation, something our head of state himself recently said, Gavin Newsom, Americans on the other side of our borders also believe California is something foreign to what it means to be an American. And we take that here in California as a compliment. While we Californians share much with our American neighbors, the people of California are different from the people of the United States. Therefore, it goes without saying that when California becomes an independent country, the Republic of California will set its own foreign policy, highly independent from whatever Washington, D.C. wants. And this is one major reason why many California nationalists plan to vote yes on the question of if California should become independent in the near future. Californians are a peace-loving people who oppose the type of imperialist and militarist policies that come out of Washington, no matter who the American president is. Some of the largest Vietnam War protests were organized here in California in the 1970s, and some of the largest protests against George H.W. Bush's war in Iraq were organized here in California recently, in the 2000s. Domestically, Californians ended the practice of allowing the American military to recruit soldiers in California public schools. Most American states still allow them to do so. It was a Californian who led the fight against American indoctrination of patriotism and changed the law so that California children no longer have to say the Pledge of Allegiance to American or American flags or any other American symbology in California public schools. California has an informal motto that has become more widely used over the past few years. We believe in building bridges and not walls. The previous head of state objected to American plans to build a wall along our border with Mexico, saying, "In California, we are focusing on bridges, not walls." These words are true in a literal and figurative sense, for we Californians literally prefer spending tax dollars on rebuilding our infrastructure over supporting Washington's military and its adventures abroad in other countries. Figuratively speaking, Californians believe in intercultural inclusion, tolerance, cooperation, and a diverse global community, not in xenophobia or the ideas of exceptionalism as promoted by America, regardless of who's president. The United Nations was established here in California in 1945. Richard Nixon, who was the head of state of California before being elected president of the United States, normalized relations with communist China in 1972, ending 25 years of no diplomatic ties between the United States and China. The Esalen Center here in California worked to build bridges between the United States and Soviet Union during the height of the Cold War. And California's previous head of state traveled to Russia to participate in talks about climate change, while the United States and Russia were at a low point in bilateral relations and pulling diplomats out of each other's offices in their own countries. California's current head of state addressed the people of Latin America, asking them to consider California as having a separate foreign policy than that of Washington, at a time when Americans were conducting immigration raids to deport Latinos in America and build a wall to prevent their return. These are some of the reasons Californians want to be independent. We want to set a new direction for California's future, both here and at home and with our relations with other nations. Now, California is home to the largest population of Iranians outside Iran, and the Iranian-California population here is an important part of our society. An independent California will have the ability to set its own policy regarding topics of importance to the Iranian people. Topics such as the status of Israel, the civil war in Syria, the recognition of the Palestinian people, the enrichment of uranium, and the development of nuclear power in Iran. The presence of Western troops in the Middle East also will be reconsidered. Many of the people in many nations around the world don't like the United States or its government in particular, largely because of its aggressive, militaristic, and imperialistic foreign policies that it routinely espouses. We Californians no longer want to be associated with those policies, and when we become an independent country, the Republic of California will look to open an embassy and establish peaceful bilateral relations with Iran and all countries without preconditions or demands at all. Our campaign already opened an embassy cultural center in Moscow, Russia, and would be honored to do so in Tehran in order to build a bridge between our two cultures. Like Russia, Iran is an especially important nation and plays an important and strategic role in the global economy. If the people of Iran let it be known that California could gain international recognition upon declaring independence, that would ignite a fire in California like the world has never seen. Let this be the beginning of an ongoing relationship between our two cultures. Thank you.